Welcome in today. I am Michael. My co-host Jay is with me. We are Scarlet and Rage podcast, and we are here to talk about what was a very unpleasant trip to Ann Arbor yesterday. This is not the way that I wanted to spend this episode discussing the things that we are going to be discussing. I know it's not the way Jay wanted it to be either. Before we get into those things, if you would, please like and subscribe. Several of you have liked and subscribed here recently. I know we're a small podcast and we're just starting. We're approaching that 50 subscriber mark. So go ahead and be the 50th subscriber if you would, and give us a like and hit the bell so that you will know when we upload each new episode. Okay. Boy. Jay, I could go on for a monologue, for probably the next 45 or 50 minutes. And so to avoid doing that, I just got to ask you, just kind of give us your initial thoughts into this episode. I mean, obviously this is not a pleasant episode. It's not what we were hoping was going to happen.
Man. It's like I'm at a funeral. It really does. Feels like I'm at a funeral.
I feel like more than the season died. But we can get into that later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've been really upset the last, so many hours, day and a half. Where do you start? Where do you start when it comes to something like this? I honestly don't know. It's sad. It's just sad, really, that we are going to have to put up with another year next season of Ryan Day as Ohio State's head coach. Do I think Ohio State is going to fire him? No, absolutely not. I said that last week. They're not going to fire him if he loses Michigan 3 times in a row. Is he going to get hired away? I highly doubt it. Do I believe that he needs to be fired as Ohio State's head coach? I do. I'm on that train. And let me go real quick.
There's the first hot take, ladies and gentlemen. Jay believes Ryan Day needs to be gone. We'll discuss that. I know there's mixed emotions on that, but Jay believes that Ryan Day is done. He is with Maurice Clarett. Maurice Clarett said 3 in a row. You got to go, bro.
It's not. Last week's podcast, I made it very clear that if Ryan loses this game, we would know for sure that he does not have what it takes to win a title in Columbus, let alone beat Michigan. If Ohio State is of the mindset to win championships in Columbus, then what are we doing here? Why is Ryan Day here? I swear I thought he was 2-5 in top 5 games. Then I saw a graphic that he's 1-6 after this game. I guess people aren't counting last season's opening win over Notre Dame. I personally do. They were ranked in the top 5 at the time. I don't care what we say there. But to continue on real quick, some people are trying to say that Ryan Day does not get the rivalry. And I honestly do not believe that is true. I just don't think he's a very good coach. And we have said that on this podcast all year long. Throw in there any team with similar talent to Ohio State, and he loses. It doesn't really have anything to do with Michigan. It really doesn't. Clemson was the outlier. He is a timid coach. He has no guts to call an aggressive game plan on the offensive side of the ball in big games. The first drive of the game, they tried 2 inside runs and a short pass to Emeka Egbuka. Now, granted, he kind of dropped it, but it wasn't a great pass either. Regardless, it was a short throw. It shouldn't. That play should have been on first down. That's just weak garbage bullshit. They didn't throw down the field until the 3rd drive of the game. It's garbage, Michael. It's garbage. It was a terrible game plan.
Yeah. It was so vanilla. It was so boring. I don't want to hear any more of this when we get these vanilla, boring, type of games against certain teams. I don't want to hear any more. Well, Ryan Day's saving it for Michigan. No, he's not. He doesn't save anything for Michigan. Ryan Day is what he is. He has been that from the time he was hired when he was a rookie head coach in 2019, and he is still that today. He is basically the same guy, the same coach, the coach that clamped up and called an extremely tight, bad second half against Clemson in 2019 is the same coach that still clamps up, gets conservative, and calls very limited big games. He hasn't changed. And after 5 years, I don't know if he's going to. Is he a good football coach? He's a good offensive mind. He's a really good recruiter. I don't think he's a really good. I don't even think he's a good head football coach. I think he's a slightly above average head football coach that is a good offensive mind and a very good recruiter. That's what I think about Ryan Day.
Where was the dynamic passing game yesterday? The misdirection, the explosive plays just seemed so bland and lacked any energy. Par for the course in big games under Ryan Day. You know, the first couple plays of the game, I'm like, oh, big game, Ryan Day arrived. We've said it all year on this podcast. We weren't fooled. The only thing we really got wrong about the game is we both predicted Ohio State to win. We did. We were wrong. We were being a little bit homerish. I mean, we're still fans of Ohio State. We love them to death. We bleed scarlet and gray.
Yeah, I mean, if you noticed, we never predicted them to lose. And I even said at the very beginning of the year, I said, I think they're going to lose a game. But I never predicted them to lose because I can't. Because I'm a fan, I can't pick them to lose. But they sure
did. And they're
did.
more talented than every team they play on the schedule so far. Now, in the playoffs, it would have been different. But make no mistake about it, Ohio State's more talented than Michigan. Don't tell me he called a great game against Georgia either, people. And that's the Ryan Day we need, because last I checked, Ohio State still lost that game. Massive choke job in the fourth quarter. The defense sucked. Yeah, his play calling became a little weak. If you want Georgia Ryan Day, then that's what Ryan Day is yesterday. He loses big games.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. That has grated on my last nerve to see all over the internet and the message boards. We want Georgia Ryan Day. Why? Did Georgia Ryan Day win the game? Did Georgia Ryan Day go win a national championship? No. Georgia Ryan Day lost in the semifinals. Why do I want a coach that continues to lose in the semifinals? But that is the track record that he has put forth, is that the best thing we have to latch onto is the time that he lost to Georgia, but he barely lost. That's the big calling card of Ryan Day. And then, of course, there is the 2020 Clemson win, and that was a very nice win, but that's starting to get to be a long time ago.
It's scary. Honestly, I'm honestly a little scared. It's actually kind of scary that Ohio State fans are like, oh, yeah, that was such a great performance. In a fucking loss. They lost the game. Like, we didn't win, we lost. And you're happy with that? You're happy for moral victories at Ohio State? What the fuck are we doing?
A very prominent Ohio State media figure that if I said his name, probably most people would know who I'm talking about, messaged me on a message board and said, I understand that you have some strong opinions about Ryan Day, but I'm really surprised that after the Georgia game, you're not, more sold on Ryan Day. And for the last year, I've been wanting to pull my hair out going, after the Georgia game, that was Ryan Day's big calling card. That's what's supposed to sell me on Ryan Day. A fourth quarter collapse where you have the game won, you have a national championship in sight, and you can't finish the same way you haven't finished several other big games prior to that. That's what I'm supposed to want. To me, it was another reminder that he isn't the guy that's going to get it done at Ohio State. And then fast forward to this year, and we have yet another reminder of why he is a coach that is going to win a lot of games and not get it done.
I completely agree, Michael. Again, we're on the same wavelength here. I mean, we both believe Ryan Day is not the guy. There are a lot of coaches with the same amount of talent who would have the same exact success he's had. He has done nothing impressive in Columbus outside of his Clemson win a couple years ago. And yes, he did have a Big Ten championship in 2019, but it was all offset by that 2019 Clemson disaster. And no, I do not blame the referees for that game. I blame Ryan Day's horrific play calling in that game. And just like I blame Ryan in this game, it's Ryan's fault we lost the game. It's not Kyle McCord's. It's not Marvin Harrison's. It's not even really Jim Knowles. It's not Tommy Eichenberg. And I'm going to get to Tommy Eichenberg later. Don't you worry.
Yep.
It's Ryan.
Right.
He is the captain of the ship. He decides who's on the ship, what cargo is being transported from here to there. Not anyone else. It's his ship. It's not Jim Knowles' ship. It's his ship. This is his fault. This team is a product of him and the way he coaches. And that's why they lose.
I don't see anything special in Ryan Day teams. I see a lot of good individual players. We've had a lot of good, talented players and a lot of kids that, I like a lot. And so I don't by any means want anybody to think that I'm speaking disparagingly of the players. They're great players, but they're in a culture and they can only do so much in that prevailing predominant culture. And the culture starts with a head coach. And that culture has never produced a team that had that little extra grit, that had that little extra fight, that had that little spark that made you go, you know what? I like this team. Like this team's got something I like. Never have I seen that out of a Ryan Day team. And that's going to make some people mad. I haven't seen it out of this team this year. And quite honestly, while I'm frustrated about it, while I'm aggravated about it, unfortunately, it is what I thought it was. This team, we said several episodes ago, is it a team of destiny? Probably not. Is essentially the conclusion we came to. And that wasn't because we didn't want it to be a team of destiny. It was because we saw the weaknesses and the deficiencies on this team. And we recognized the fact that they really haven't played anybody who's really good yet this year. Penn State's kind of good and Notre Dame's mediocre. And that's it. That's all they've played.
Moving on a little bit. I guess we'll break down position by position because why not? I mean, it was the last regular season game of the year. It was the last meaningful game of the year. Not to say that the bowl game doesn't count because it does. I know there are people out there trying to say the bowl game doesn't count. Still goes in the win-loss column. It absolutely counts. Kyle McCord. Let's talk about him a little bit.
All right, Jay, as we move forward.
Take a deep breath, my friend.
I'm going to take a deep breath, and I'm not going to be worked up the rest of the podcast. I'm going.
But everybody, by the way, I will say we were discussing maybe having a podcast immediately after the Michigan game. It's a good thing we didn't. We would get kicked off of YouTube. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. It's good that I've had a day to,
Yeah, I think it's almost better to have a day of reflection, hindsight. Mm-hmm. Hindsight, they always say, is 20/20. Yeah. But even we're still filled with rage. That's why we are the Scarlet and Rage. But Michael, go ahead before we get on with Kyle McCord.
Well, I was just saying I'm going to be very calm. I'm going to be
very okay. I thought you had something.
I am taking off my fan emotions and glasses, and I'm just going to evaluate this as non-biasly as I can.
I thought you were about to uncork some unfiltered, profound rage, but.
No. The opposite. Yeah. I'm trying to rein that in and move forward calmly and coolly.
Man, I'm still recovering mentally, but it's going to be a while to recover from this one. Kyle McCord. I already explained who I place all of the blame on for this loss. A lot of people are blaming Kyle McCord for this game.
Yeah.
Did he have his best game? No. But did he pretty much play like he has all season? Yes. That's the way he is. Do I blame him for this loss?
Right.
Absolutely not. He actually passed for more yards than J.J. McCarthy and threw some pretty nice footballs when he was given the chance. The problem is it was rare for Ohio State to play ahead of the chains, and Kyle was handicapped by such garbage, just a garbage game plan.
Yeah.
And, here's the thing. If Kyle McCord was actually the problem, then what is Day's excuse for when he had Justin Fields and C.J. Stroud?
Right.
What was the problem then?
Right.
Because they're trying to say it's our quarterback play. But Ryan Day won with better quarterback play. So what is the problem? I mean, we're going to give our opinions on what the problem is. But at the same time, it's like you can't blame him. He is what he is. He was handicapped by a timid head coach who was atrocious. Ryan was atrocious. And I'm going to keep pointing to Ryan on this. Do you have anything on Kyle McCord, Michael?
Well, he plays scared. I mean, Ryan Day coaches big game scared.
Yeah.
And I think that on a first-year starter, I think that, and let's face it, Kyle seems like a good kid, seems like a steady kind of guy, a steady Eddie. Doesn't seem like he has a lot of fire and doesn't seem like he's a real alpha. And so when you have that kind of personality, I think that they can be very impacted by what the head coach is giving off and what he is projecting. And I think Ryan Day projected a lot of fear in the Michigan game. And I think there was a lot of times this season, I think Ryan Day projects fear on a regular basis in games. And I think that, McCord is a little bit of a product of that. I think he plays a little bit fearful of making mistakes because I think he's coached that way.
I kind of forgot about this. I don't know how true it is, but I did hear that Kyle McCord made the comment that the Michigan game was just another game. Did you hear that?
Yeah, he said that.
Oh, man. That is just
Ryan
like
Day,
what John Cooper said.
Well, and Ryan Day, after the game, this is the second straight year he's used this exact language. He said, I just, I'm sick. I hate this because I know how important this game is to so many people. He said that for the second straight year. And you know what I thought interesting about that is him saying, I know how important this is to so many people, to those Ohio people, the Ohio State fans. I know how important this is to you guys. That's the way it comes across to me, as opposed to him saying, I know how important this game is. This game means everything to us. This game means everything to me. And I failed. He doesn't say that because he doesn't believe that. That's what I think.
Okay. Yeah. Moving on. I'm actually very surprised at little impact TreVeyon Henderson had. I know he had the one touchdown run in the third quarter to tie the game up. Another instance of bad game planning. There were pretty bad game plan on how to use him, but at the same time, because of that bad game plan, you kind of saw TreVeyon's weaknesses in this game. His lack of vision showed up. Lack of power also showed up. Not really there. He is the most dynamic back in the country if he has a running lane. But the problem is there weren't really much there yesterday. Michigan has a very good run defense. You're not going to be able to bully them in the middle. And Ryan did not try to really get him on the edge. Not often. It was rare.
And you know what, Jay? When we were having success, that one drive, I think it was the third quarter, we were going off the edge. We were taking it outside, and we were having some success out there. We drove right down and scored, and then you didn't see that again. The rest, it's like, where did it go? Like, we're just not going to do that anymore.
Should have been doing at start of the game, not just then, but start of the game.
It's like Ryan Day outsmarts himself. When something's working, it's like he intrinsically thinks he now has to go back to something else so that the defense doesn't catch on to him. It's like, well, if the defense isn't stopping that, just keep doing it. There's an old story about Tressel when he was the offensive coordinator at Syracuse, that he called a play right and got 8 yards. He called the same play to the left and got 6 yards. He played a call right, called the same play right, got 5 yards, called it again to the left, got 7, 8 yards. And he called the same play 7, 8 times. And he's getting 4 yards or more every time. And the head coach set up on the headset. He said, "Hey, Jim, let's call a different play." And Tressel's response was, "Sure thing, coach. As soon as they stop this one, I'll move to the next one." And, it's like Ryan Day doesn't understand that.
Blake Corum, he kind of showed what a complete running back is supposed to look like. That was my main reasoning of picking Ohio State. I thought TreVeyon Henderson would be the best player in this game. Blake Corum was the best player in this game. He ran with power, patience, and he had some speed and burst on that 22-yard scoring run. Now, granted, TreVeyon never had that kind of room, but at the same time, Blake Corum did kind of, he had a jump cut in the A gap and was able to bounce it. And Alex Styles had a terrible tackle attempt there. But again, Blake Corum was the best player in this game. He's the best back in this game. I did not expect that. That was the biggest thing that was shocking to me. I just
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that. The receivers I thought played okay. We've said all season the lack of speed and explosion at that position are a problem. Not much separation there from any of them. Forced to make tough catches in traffic because of it. Julian Fleming did have that drop fumble that luckily Emeka recovered.
Jay, on that real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of talent at receiver, and Brian Hartline is very good at getting talent in that wide receiver room.
Mm-hmm.
But is Brian Day excuse me, is Brian Hartline?
Yeah, I can see you're upset with Brian Hartline.
Yeah. What is Brian Hartline really a top-notch wide receiver coach? Is he getting the most out of this talent, or does he just have a really talented room? Because we see Marvin, who's supposed to be all world, he doesn't get a lot of separation. He struggled to get separation. And in fact, his struggle off the line early in the game was very impactful in that first interception. I'm not saying it was a good throw. I'm not saying that Marvin necessarily could have prevented it if he would have tried harder. I don't know that. But I know that Marvin was having a hard time in that press coverage where the corner was being extremely physical with him. And he's always has trouble with that. And so to me, that's either the player doesn't have the will to get better at that physical part of the game. And I don't think that's the case with Marvin, or the coach is not forcing his hand and making him get better at that physical part of the game. And I don't know what the answer is, but it's a problem with our receivers across the board. Our receivers used to be, they weren't as talented, but they played much, much tougher back under the Urban Meyer era than they are right now.
I agree. I think Brian Hartline does deserve some criticism. The receivers just aren't getting it done. Now, granted, I have not watched the film. I don't have access to it. I'm sure I could find it online. I'd have to watch them and see how they're running their routes, how they're blocking and stuff. The only receiver I really sticks out to me as a good blocker is Julian Fleming. But outside of him, like, I don't know how tough these guys are. I know that Roman Wilson made a comment. Did you see his comment?
No.
He was basically saying, like, these guys are all dressed as Louis Vuitton and stuff like that, trying to say that they're hard, but they're not. He was basically saying that Ohio State players.
I did see that actually.
And I can't disagree with him. And people are going to talk. You know what, Ohio State? Stop being soft bitches and fucking win the game. These guys wouldn't talk all that shit. You wouldn't see Jesse Minter, the defensive coach from Michigan, waving goodbye to Ohio State as they're walking off the field. Because did you see that video? I saw it. They showed him like waving bye, to the Ohio State staff. You know what? If you don't want them to do that, then beat them. It's not hard. Just win.
And they planted the flag in the stupid AstroTurf last year. And people wonder why. And I think that I've been very measured in my criticism of Ryan Day on this show. Because I know there's many people that like Ryan Day, and I understand why you like Ryan Day. Okay. So if you like Ryan Day, that's fine. I understand why you like him. I understand he has great quarterbacks. I understand for a time he had a great offense. I get that. So if that's what does it for you, I understand why you like Ryan Day. My problem with Ryan Day is what has happened to the program on his watch is disgraceful. It's disgraceful. And it's difficult for me to like Ryan Day a whole lot based on that, based on the fact that he has lost the preeminent position as the number one program in the Midwest. He's lost it. And it's happened on his watch. And we're talking about Ryan Day's going to beat Georgia. We're talking about Ryan Day's going to beat Alabama. Ryan Day can't win his region.
I agree. No, I completely agree. Man, oh man. What was I going to say? It's really sad. You sparked that in my mind, and you're talking about this game. This was really the last game in the series that was going to have like the highest level of consequences and for the game. Like, I guess
Yeah.
risk, I guess reward, the highest reward possible was, winning the Big Ten, going on to the playoff. Like, that's not going to be there anymore. This was the last year for the rivalry to be as big as it was. Over
Yeah.
time, this rivalry is just going to be just really just big in the Midwest, not across college football. Because now we have a good chance of playing Michigan 2 times a year and maybe even 3 times a year. And
If this was 2024, we would be preparing to play Michigan and Indianapolis here.
yeah, we would be
which
preparing
is
to
what
play.
which is what should be happening. I mean, though that should be, I understand that it's going to change things, but like when you're bringing in all of these West Coast teams and the SEC is doing away with divisions, and you've got this Big Ten West that's very disproportionately weak, and they get rewarded by getting one of their crappy teams into the conference championship every year just because nobody's over there. I mean, I get why it's changing. It's going to be better for, but again, it just makes it that much harder, because to win the Big Ten championship, you don't just have to win the Big Ten East now. You have to win the Big Ten East and then maybe play one of the other really good teams in the Big Ten East again, in the championship game. Or you may play one of the Oregons or Washingtons or USCs or one of the new guys, but it's going to get tougher any way you flip the coin.
It is going to get tougher. I'm a traditionalist, though. I don't mind Ohio State only playing Michigan once, because I still love the rivalry. It is the best rivalry in sports, although starting next year that there is going to be an argument that it's not, and I can't disagree. The whole reason that made the rivalry number one in all sports is Ohio and Michigan damn near went to war back in the day. Number two, historically, like, look at the consequences, like, look at what's on the line each time each other plays, like, and they only play 1 time a year.
Yeah.
Playing 2 or 3 times a year starting next year is going to dilute the product. And it's like,
I'm with,
I was going to say, thanks, Ryan. Thanks for losing the last big, super, really big game of the series.
Yeah.
Stupid fucking bastard.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. This was the last of a 100+ year tradition.
Yeah,
and it was a very winnable game, and he just didn't do it. When I say it was a winnable game, what I mean is Michigan's not a world beater. Like, they're a good football team, but they didn't do anything that was just like amazing.
No, they didn't do anything that me and you didn't expect. I think me and you both talked about it last week. Like, we know what Michigan's going to do. We know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like Ohio State knew what they were going to do, though. And that's kind of scary. But moving on to the offensive line, Michael. I don't think the the line played all that bad for how bad the game plan was. Donovan Jackson getting bulldozed and pancaked over on the final drive of the game and allowing Kyle McCord to get hit as he threw. That was just soft bullshit. Like, honestly, he should pay his scholarship money back for that. I don't have much of an add about the offensive line. I thought they did as well as they could for the game plan. Do you have anything to add there?
It's unbelievable, Jay. I mean, it's sickening images that Ryan Day has put forth on the national stage 2 years in a row, one on his home field and then another in Ann Arbor. Like, those are the images that really stick with me about Ryan Day and this rivalry. Is Ohio Stadium silent as Michigan runs another massive 50 or 60-yard touchdown run, last year, and then this year, 2 years before that, images of that offensive line of Michigan mauling and manhandling our defensive line, and their defensive line mauling and manhandling our offensive line. Then fast forward to this year, and you've got images of like you just said, Jackson getting pancaked into Ryan Day on what could be the game-winning drive. And this is how our guys are performing. This is the fight and the tenacity that they have. They get pancaked back into their own player. And I don't know what happened on that play, so I don't want to be too hard on him, but it just seems like there's a pattern that these Ryan Day teams just don't have that fight that it takes to be able to win at the highest levels.
They fail when it matters the most. That is a typical MO of Ryan Day. They fail when it matters the most. And we've said it on this podcast. We would always have snarky comments about big game Ryan Day. All he does is lose big games. And it's the truth. Prove us wrong. Get in the comments. If you disagree, we want to hear from you.
We had somebody in the comments say here recently, you guys are the worst Ohio State fans. Okay, fine.
The worst or most realistic?
I'm sorry that we told you the truth. I'm sorry that we had a very we had a very mild optimism about this team. We weren't totally negative about this team, but we were very willing to point out some of the glaring gaps in this team. And that's something that I guess, a lot of people don't want, or at least some people don't want to hear. I think some of you like hearing it. I think some of you like hearing a perspective that you're not really going to hear from a lot of the podcasts, especially the ones that somehow want access to the program, because they're just not going to say certain things.
I couldn't give a fuck less about having access to that program. I couldn't give a fuck less because there's nothing magical going on in that program. I can tell you that. It doesn't take an expert to look at that product and be like, yeah, they have really something going for them. No, they really don't. They really don't have much going on for them there outside of great recruiting, but recruiting's only, going to show so much.
All right. So Jay, here's my question.
Mm-hmm.
How long can you sustain 2019, win all through the regular season, win the, show a little bit of vulnerability in the Big Ten championship, wobble a little bit, but you go ahead and you come back with the knockout, go on and lose to Clemson in a very close game that you should have won against a team that I don't think was as good as them. Then in 2020, you get a nice win, and then you get your brains beat out by Alabama. Season ends again, kind of not feeling too good. Then 2021, lost to Michigan. We don't get anywhere where we're going to go. 2022, gut punch against Michigan, extreme gut punch against Georgia. Now this year went all the way through, and a gut punch in Ann Arbor. How long can a program withstand that type of just difficulty? How long can they withstand that until there begins to be a little bit of a leveling downward?
Can you explain like leveling downward? Like, do you think more losses are going to come? Or do you think recruiting's about to dip? Like, what do you mean?
Yes, I think the season is coming where it's a 9-3 or a 10-2.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, when that happens, yeah, you have to get. I mean, again, like I don't believe Ryan Day is getting fired after this. I think he should be, but if you go 9-3 at Ohio State with their talent and how bad the Big Ten is, yeah, you immediately need fired. So 10-2, you might be able to survive, but I don't. Again, people are trying to say, "Oh, you lose 3 in a row to Michigan, Ryan Day will be fired." Well, he's not getting fired, people. He's not
getting fired. I understand why they're not firing him, but it doesn't mean that it would be wrong to move on.
No, I don't think so. I think it's time. Hey, I mean, he's proven that he can't win. 1-6 against top 5 opponents, 2-6. That's pathetic. That's what he's graded on. Defense, Michael. Do you have thoughts on the defense? I know my thoughts. What are your thoughts, sir?
I'm not going to say fool's gold, but I am going to say it was not terrible. It was good enough to win if you had a dynamic offense. But like I think both of us said a couple of weeks ago, is this defense good enough to take over and win a game? And I know I said I don't believe it is. I don't think that this is the type of defense that can just shut a good team down to 17 points. And they're not. And I didn't expect them to be. We spotted them 7 points, so really they probably should have given up about 24 points, and that's kind of where I expected them to be. I didn't expect them to shut Michigan down to under 20 points or to 14 points, but the offense just didn't have enough firepower to overcome that.
Yeah, I was completely wrong. I think, what did I predict? 20-13. In my mind, I was thinking maybe 20-16. I know I predicted 20-13 on here. I didn't think in any way possible Michigan's offense would have the success that they did, but seeing that they did, my thoughts are Knowles sucks. I've said it for a long time. I don't know if you have, but I've been saying like
No, I haven't.
I've said it. I'm like, I think Jim Knowles sucks. Not much else can be said other than what I've said all season. The defense only got better this season because the players that were running it got better. His defenses do not create explosive havoc or negative plays or sacks in the backfield, and that's a massive problem. You have to be able to generate negative plays, especially against a team like Michigan, because they will take those 2 to 3 yard gains all damn day. They're going to grind clock, and they are going to score while taking your will to play away. The same game plan.
As that fourth quarter came along and that final 8-minute drive started, Ohio State would come up and stick them right at the line of scrimmage, or maybe a yard past, and it would always end up being 3 or 4. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop the push. Michigan was just taking it to them, punching them right in the mouth and saying, you know exactly what we're doing, and we're going to go down and we're going to win the game. And that's what they did. And it was disgusting to watch.
The same game plan that they tried last season. I said it on last week's podcast. The same game plan they actually tried last season. They were burnt over the top. They should have actually ran it again yesterday, because honestly, it would have worked. Because since we had the corners to actually run it this year and put them on islands, we didn't even get to use our great secondary. I understand JJ McCarthy made some great throws, but he only attempted like 18 passes, not like, and they were mostly a lot of short throws.
He threw for like 148 yards.
Yeah, but he was the ultimate game manager. He was the ultimate like step above game manager. Yeah, no, you're right. I understand it wasn't a lot of yards, but we did not stop them at all in the second half, by the way. Did you realize that? Like every single, not once.
I did.
Not one time. Yeah. Michigan scored on every single drive in the second half outside of their final drive where they took a knee. That is straight dog shit. Fuck you, Knowles, you stupid, dumb motherfucker. Fuck you. I fucking hate you. I got a phone call yesterday, and I was talking to somebody on the phone, and they were excited that Ohio State tied the game. I'm like, the problem, and I wasn't even really all that excited when Ohio State tied the game, because I could feel the flow of the game. And the flow of the game at that point was Ohio State wasn't stopping Michigan anymore. I'm like, Michigan's just going to go down the field and score. And they did. I called it. I was like, wow, I'm so like disgusted that I was right. I hate being right about those things, but I have a feeling when I watch sporting events, I usually have a good feeling for what's actually about to happen.
Jay, and I'm not. I still hope that somehow I'm wrong, and that Ryan Day pulls it together and wins a national championship. I still hope that I'm wrong. But more times than not, and I'm not like tooting my own horn. I'm just saying more times than not, like when I take a look at something and I draw a conclusion, more times than not, I'm relatively accurate. I mean, a lot of people got really mad at me back in 2015 when I said we have to move on from JT Barrett. We've seen what Cardale Jones can do. We have to have a quarterback who can stretch the field and who can open up the zone read for our offense. We cannot go back to JT Barrett because he's not capable of winning a national championship and of beating elite defenses. Everybody got really mad at me for that, or a lot of people got really mad at me for that. What happened? JT Barrett couldn't ever beat elite defenses because he couldn't stretch the field. And so I see Ryan Day as a bit of a JT Barrett. I don't think he's the kind of guy that's ever going to get it done. I think it's going to be really good. I think he can put up some good numbers. But what I would prefer him to do is leave the program in as good of shape as possible and go ahead and go and bring in a coach that's going to take this talent and begin to, give a little bit of grit again, give it a little bit of fight again, begin to grind it, a little bit again, because it just doesn't appear that that's taking place right now.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Defensive line didn't get any pressure. I called that. I was like, I made it clear last week, that it didn't matter if Michigan had weak offensive tackles, because Ohio State didn't have the speed rushing personnel to take advantage of it. That's not surprising. I know. I guess Jack Sawyer was credited with a sack.
Yeah, he got a sack. Yeah, we
I thought that
nailed
was Michael Hall. I swear that was Michael Hall.
Yeah.
Are we? Michael Hall was the one who did that, I believe, in the second quarter.
Well, maybe they both got a half a sack, but Sawyer was credited with the sack because everybody's been saying that. Well, Sawyer had a sack, and I was like, well, I don't remember that.
I have to look at that again because Michael Hall is the one who did that. Now, granted, Michael Hall played a lot of the game when I said he shouldn't because he's an undersized 3 technique, but I mean, he is good on pass rushing situations. I've said that. I'm like, he's good as long as there's a clear passing play, but he shouldn't be playing on first and second down.
Why at Ohio State, when we have 330-pound tackles that they're there in the wings, why are we taking a guy who is a passing down defensive tackle and making him a full-time defensive tackle when we can be rotating him in and only playing him on second and third and longs, not playing him on 3rd and 3. That's not a good down for Mike Hall, or 2nd and 4. That's not a great down for Mike Hall. But why? I mean, are we just being stupid fans and we're just off base on this? Or did we just watch the defense have Michigan just stick it down their throat again when we knew when the defense knew exactly what they were going to do?
The only answer I can come up with is that the defensive staff is dumb. They're not very good coaches. What other explanation is there? I mean, if it's common sense to the common folk, and me and you aren't common folk. Again, we both played football. We're not stupid here. Not when it comes to football. I'm stupid about a lot of other things, but not about this. It's common sense, but these coaches don't have it. And that's fine. They just shouldn't be coaching at Ohio State. They can go coach at like Kent State or Akron or somewhere like that where the stakes aren't high and the consequences aren't as big.
I tell you where Ryan Day would be great is UCLA. He could go take over for Chip.
Yeah,
he could be on the
back left wing society over there. He
could hang out in that California vibe. He could, didn't have to, could be just kind of finesse, wing it. Always going to be sunny and good weather, so you can kind of plan out your game accordingly. That would be a great fit for him.
Yeah, probably. I don't know what Ryan Day's personal lifestyle is, but I mean, as a football coach, yeah, it seems like he'd fit in because he's definitely not like a tough-nosed alpha male. We've made that very clear on here. He's not. He should be just an offensive coordinator somewhere.
Yeah.
He's, that's really his entire pedigree to this point, is being an offensive guy under Chip Kelly.
And you know what, Jay? I think Ryan Day's the kind of guy we want him to be something that he's not.
Hell yeah, we're Ohio State fans.
Well, but I mean, this is what I mean by that. We want him to be Urban Meyer, where he's the CEO of a program. Urban, from what I've heard from Zach Smith and Kirk Barton and even a few others, Urban very rarely involved himself in play calling. I mean, he had a hand in it, but he wasn't calling plays most of the time. He was coaching the game and he was looped into that conversation. But he was looped into things across the board. He was much more of a head coach CEO. Nick Saban, obviously, is the ultimate. He's the ultimate head coach CEO. Kirby Smart was trained there. He's become a very good head coach CEO. That's what we want Ryan Day to be. But the truth of it is that his greatest talent is to call offensive plays. And so head coaching almost kind of gets in the way of him being able to be as good as he can be at what he's actually good at. And if you take that away from him, what else does he have? What else does he bring to the table? He doesn't strike me as a guy that's like really going to light a fire under the team. Like he's a great motivator or anything like that. So his big gift is his offensive mind and calling plays. And that's very difficult to do as a head coach. So I just think us wanting him to go into the CEO thing, I think he's going to be miserable doing that because I think what he loves to do is offensively scheme and call plays. And he needs to go to a school where you can do that. And everybody's okay with it because you're probably not going to win national championships with a head coach like that.
No, Ohio State's never going to win a national championship with Ryan Day as a coach. That's maybe a little bit of a hot take. Not really. I mean, they're never going to win with him. Not at the highest of levels. They'll win, You know, they'll get 10, 11 games, but they're never going to beat the teams that truly matter. Highlighting another player from the defense here. I mentioned this player earlier, and I told you I would get back to them. Tommy Eichenberg. Michael, did Tommy Eichenberg stick out to you in this game at all?
Yeah, he did. He stuck out to me as not playing very well. He didn't stick out to me in the way that you would like to. It stuck out that he was not having a good game.
I've been probably the most critical person of Tommy Eichenberg that there is amongst all of these Ohio State podcasts because I don't really give a fuck. He can take it or leave it. Man, oh man. Just a garbage player. All this clown does is get exposed against the best offenses Ohio State goes against.
Yeah.
He's slow. Actually, no, he's very slow. And he looks like a total fish to me when in pass coverage. Let's not forget also that for somebody that's supposed to be a tough, strong tackler, Blake Corum totally shed him in the first drive of the game. Actually, no, the first scoring drive of the game. After Kyle threw that pick, they had 2nd and goal from like the 4. Like, like Tommy had him stop for like no gain. But Corum powered through, like you mentioned before, their running backs falling forward. That was against Tommy. He was able to power through to the 1-yard line. That could have been the difference in holding Michigan to a field goal there. He missed a few other tackles in space against Colston Loveland, the Michigan tight end. He's honestly one of the worst linebackers at Ohio State I have ever seen. To be honest, I blame Knowles for continuing to put him out there when it's clear Cody Simon should have been starting over him, and CJ Hicks also needed to be developed and ready to play. Why aren't these guys playing? I understand Cody Simon was in there playing, but he should have been playing over Eichenberg, not with Eichenberg, over Eichenberg. There's a big difference there.
Right. Our linebackers were we're going to be losing our linebackers, but
good. Fucking go. I don't want them there anymore. People are like, oh, we're going to lose our linebackers. Good. Addition by fucking subtraction.
Yeah.
They all suck. Although Steele, I thought, played a solid game. In all honesty, I thought he played okay. Not in coverage, but he was our best run defender.
Steele is okay. I mean, that's kind of what you get out of him.
Secondary, I thought, again, there really wasn't much to really go off of there. Denzel Burke getting beat. I understand that catch by Roman Wilson where he scored was, an iffy catch. But you know what? If you don't want it to go to the referees, don't allow the catch in the first place. Don't get beat. Make a play on the football. Malik Harford, turn around. If he turns around, he could maybe make an interception. He didn't drop far enough and whatever zone he was in. I didn't see like what kind of defense they're in. I don't know what defense they're in, but he didn't have his head turned around. Denzel Burke got beat. If you don't want to have it go to the referees there, make a play on the football.
Is our goal defensively to be so good that we just have to stop teams? Like we just have to stop them in 3 plays. We have to keep them from getting 10 yards because we don't get tackles for a loss. Generally, we don't get a lot of sacks. And so constantly we are just having to stop a team from getting 10 yards, because it's not often that we get a 2nd and 14 or something. And that just makes it difficult against really good offenses because we just don't have a disruptive defense. It's a good defense. Say it's not a bad defense. It's a good defense, but it's not a disruptive defense. And, again, I've stated it before, but with this is the kind of defense Ryan Day can win a national championship with if he has a CJ Stroud type of offense. Like that's the kind of defense this is. This isn't you're going to win a national championship because this defense is so good. And we said that. We said that. It's just that the offenses that they had played up to this point were so bad.
Absolutely. The best defenses cause total chaos on the opposing offense. This defense never did that. They mostly just played it safe, kept everything in front of them, let their athletes kind of just out-talent people, but by no means was it an aggressive. I mean, I guess they were tough, but it wasn't called tough. it wasn't called with like any kind of risk or any kind of like
Yeah.
taking any chances, letting your athletes really play, letting your
Right.
secondary really play some cover one or cover zero, letting, trying to really create negative pressure. I mean, it wasn't that. I mean,
No.
in the last drive of the game, you know, for Michigan, Ohio State, I I think Ohio State actually started run blitzing for the first time
Mhm.
in Michigan's last couple plays before they kicked the field goal to go up by 6. And that was the
Yeah.
first time all game that I saw Ohio State really selling out against the run. When honestly, they probably should have started selling out against the run in like the second quarter.
Yeah. Yeah. Sonny Styles.
Not very good. Very weak
I mean,
performance. He's not
I
very good
can't
in
really,
coverage, and
yeah, I can't really say for his whole game. I know that that missed tackle there at the end of the game was not good. I mean, that was he was right there. It was going to be a 4 or 5 yard gain. But I mean, he should have stepped up and made that tackle. And he just didn't. That was definitely not a good football play there by Sonny.
no, I mean a lot of the scheme mostly got exposed, but then you have players like Styles and Eichenberg who really, especially Eichenberg. Eichenberg shouldn't
Do
even
you
be
know
out
what,
there.
Jay? Sonny's still like 18, 19 years old.
No, that's true. He actually was like a true freshman this year in
Yeah.
terms of like actual age because he
Yeah.
graduated high school a year early. But
Yeah.
at the same time, though, it's like if he's not ready, then play somebody who is.
Yeah.
I did see that Indiana just fired Tom Allen. Did you see that? Their
No,
head football coach.
I didn't see that.
Well, I guess Justin Fry is an Indiana guy. So please, Indiana, if you're listening, hire that motherfucker away because he's
Yeah.
no better than Greg Stadrawa. He's not. They basically are
He's
the
not as
exact same.
good. He's not as
No,
good. He doesn't recruit as good as Greg.
he doesn't recruit as good. I do think he's slightly better coach, but
Yeah, he
his
might be a better
recruiting,
coach.
yeah, his recruiting does suck, and is a big part of the friends and family plan that Ryan Day has implemented here. It's just Ryan Day hasn't, and Ryan Day doesn't have the cachet to get the big time assistant coaches. He doesn't. I have a really hot take here, Michael. Do you want to hear my?
He's got millions of dollars at his disposal. Like he can't go out and get guys. Like he's like, hey, I can pay you $1 million to be my offensive line coach. Like even if he doesn't have a relationship, like he can't go get some of the best guys like that.
I mean, I don't, dude. I'm not a fucking coach, man. But just thinking out loud. What do they say about like in the workforce? It's like it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Which is, kind of a bad thing. I wouldn't want to just hire one of my friends, or I really wouldn't want to be hired by one of my friends if I know I couldn't do the job or I know they couldn't do the job. That's just asking for your business to fucking fail.
Jay,
But,
unless if I'm in Ryan Day's position, unless I have a friend who has proven himself throughout the country and is known as the best offensive line coach in the country, or at least one of the top 3 or 4, I'm not paying my friend $1 million because that's setting him up for failure. It's setting me up for criticism. And Justin Fry is not known as one of the definitive top 3 or 4 offensive line coaches in the country. In fact, he's not even really got much buzz anywhere outside of, that which was in the Ohio State fan base, which was completely manufactured and drummed up by the Ohio State media. They told everybody how great Justin Fry was, and everybody just believed it without looking at his track record and seeing that maybe he'll be great, but he hasn't done anything up to this point that would definitively let us know that he is $1 million type offensive line coach.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to grade offensive line coaches. I haven't really looked around, but I will say, in the little looking around that I did, there is an offensive line coach out there with Ohio ties that has proven it. And that is Utah's offensive line coach. Apparently, their offensive line coach is from Ohio, and I'm pretty sure he would take the job.
Tell the audience about that, and let's discuss it real briefly when I get back. I got to get a charger to charge my computer. I'll be right back.
All right.
Dead.
All right, everybody.
What's your recommendation from Utah?
Well, to be honest, everybody, I actually don't know much about this coach from Utah. I was just looking around the internet, saw that Utah's offensive line coach, and if anybody knows about what Utah does, they run a lot of uh, power run as like their offense. I mean, everybody probably saw them 2 years ago in the Rose Bowl against Ohio State. Um, and what they were able to do on the ground against Ohio State in that game and everything. Now, granted, Ohio State's run defense 2 years ago was fucking atrocious. It seems like that's the norm under Ryan Day. The defenses are bad, although the defense this year was not bad. But at the same time, it wasn't good enough to propel us to a title. And we said that all year. See, you got your Charger there. Yep. But I was just basically filling them in that I do believe, just based on Utah's pedigree as a program, I think getting that offensive line coach from out there, don't know anything about his recruiting, but for somebody that actually is the offensive line coach at Utah, I think that would be a good hire there, Michael.
Jay, it would be hard to recruit any worse than him at Ohio State.
Yeah, all he's done is gotten like the small fish from Ohio. And
I mean, if Ryan Day hired me to be the offensive line coach and gave me 2 seasons, I might not do that great with the offensive line, but I think I could recruit as good or better than what Justin Fry has.
So what's next now, Michael? Ohio State is not making the playoff. And to be honest, everyone, and I'm being honest here, I don't want them to go. They would only lose again because that's what Ryan does. We would be staring at another loss in the face and us being more pissed off. And the program is going to be in so much even more uncertainty then.
You want to
go hurt recruiting.
You want to slide in that number 4 spot and go play Georgia? Like, really, with this team?
Well, I said that last year, and we ended up giving them a good game, but I just don't feel like the makeup of this team is built to hang with them. Although it's not like anybody out there is like heads and shoulders above everyone right now. But at the same time, whether they get blown out or it's close, they will lose. And I don't want to lose. I want to go knowing that I can win. I don't want to go knowing that we're going to lose. Ryan Day is only going to lose the game. We're probably looking at an Orange Bowl appearance against Louisville.
I'll pick a loss, Jay. Georgia against Ohio State. 31-20. That's my score.
That's amazing. We get to 20 points there. Yeah, I would believe that. I mean, I would pick Ohio State to lose against everybody in the Final Four because honestly, Michigan's going. They're probably going to be the weakest team in the Final Four outside of maybe Florida State, and that would be a 50-50 game. But again, we'll talk more about Ohio State's bowl game appearance and what's next for them next week. We're going to save that for next week's show. Yeah. A Louisville matchup is, like.
We're playing Louisville.
We're probably going to play Louisville unless Florida State loses. I don't see Florida State losing to Louisville in the.
But why can't we play like Alabama or something if they lose?
Because I don't know. There's something going. Don't ask me how, but it's just set up that the Rose Bowl is part of the semifinals this year. So the Big Ten second best team isn't going to the Rose Bowl, and somehow there's some tie to the Orange Bowl. It happened 10 years ago exactly. 10 years ago when we went to the Orange Bowl and played Clemson. Same thing happened. Right. The Rose Bowl was a national championship that year, and we went to the Orange Bowl and played Clemson. So don't ask me how. I have a really hot take, Michael.
Okay.
All right. Well, I know I went off a couple weeks ago, and I said I wouldn't mention this team for a while, but I will say that the Ohio State basketball team went on the road Friday night, and they were on the road. They beat Alabama. They beat a good basketball team on the road. And this is my hot take. And people can take it or leave it. But that basketball win by Chris Holtmann, that basketball win on Friday night by Chris Holtmann, that was better and more exciting than anything Ryan Day has had in the last 2 years. As the football coach. I truly believe that. Good. The basketball team went on the road and beat Alabama. I mean, it wasn't a true home game for Alabama, but it was played in Destin, Florida, which like a 4-hour drive for them, right on the state border.
That's South Alabama, basically.
Yeah, that's South Alabama. That was better than anything Ryan Day has done in the 2022 or 2023 seasons. I kid you not.
Yeah.
And what was so funny? What's so funny about that?
Well, just because I knew where you were going with that.
It's the truth. Tell me I'm wrong. What? There is no win on Ryan Day's in his like credentials now. There's nothing on the schedule that is better than that. For Chris, Chris Holtmann did.
Is Alabama basketball as good as I mean, they're not as good as Alabama football.
No, they're not, but they're better than anything Ohio State has beaten in the last 2 years on their football schedule, is what I'm saying.
Okay, all right.
They were now. Granted, they lost a lot. Alabama basketball lost a lot of players from last year's team, but last year's team was the #1 overall seed. They made it to the Sweet 16, and they barely lost to San Diego State.
Yeah.
Alabama is ranked in the top 20, so they're a solid team.
Right.
And they were, like, according to Ken Palm, now granted they hadn't played anybody, they were the highest scoring basketball offense in the country. And I was watching them play Ohio State, and Ohio State they were faster. They are faster and more athletic than Alabama, than an SEC team. Nice. I was like, where was this against Texas A&M?
Yeah.
That where I was calling for Chris Holtmann to be fired, and he's still not a good coach, everyone. He just has better players than Alabama. Yes, Ohio State has better players than Alabama, an SEC team, going on the road and really handing it to them. So just food for thought. It really wasn't a basketball comment. I just want to say that Ryan Day hasn't accomplished jack shit. That was the whole point.
Yeah, well, I agree with. I mean, he's got his Clemson win. And outside of that,
no, I'm saying just in the last 2 years. And the Clemson win supersedes that.
Yeah.
But that was 3 years ago.
Sure.
Or no, that was 3 years ago. I'm saying in the last 2 years, this year and last year.
Absolutely. I agree. I'm just saying the Clemson wins like all he's got. It's not like in just the last 2 years. Like in his whole career, that's what he's got. He's
got that, and he has 2019 Michigan in the Big Ten championship. That's the thing. That's what he has.
Yeah. Yeah. And so 2019 Michigan, that's right. They're pretty good. I mean, that's it. That's all he's got. And the Clemson win, as I've said before, was in an empty stadium. I don't know what that says. I don't know if there's something to it. I don't know if it's just coincidence, but Ryan Day's one very good big game performance was when it was in an empty arena. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe something about the energy of the game makes him tighten up. And when they were in that empty Sugar Bowl arena with nobody in there, and it was just, almost like playing a scrimmage game out there, maybe he was just loose and easy and called the game much more aggressively.
That could be true. I can't say you're wrong. Considering that's the outlier game.
Yeah.
What you said there could be true. There's no way we'll ever know for sure. Maybe some documentary will come out that Ryan Day says behind the scenes, like, it was a little easier for me to call this game because the pressure just didn't seem like it was there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if he'd ever admit that, but I'm just saying that is the one factor. Is it's a totally different atmosphere in a completely empty stadium compared to all of the other big games you're going to play where it's packed and there's all that additional energy that comes with, all of those people in there. And so it's just a very different atmosphere. And so I just find it interesting that the one atmosphere is the one game that he's like cut loose and like really, been able to finish a game.
Yeah, man. You're probably right. We'll never know. But everyone, I'm sad. Michael, I think you're sad too. I've read a lot of your comments across the internet. This sucks. This sucks, man. I hate to lose, especially when Ohio State has more talent. I hate losing to Michigan. It's getting old losing to them 3 times in a row. I was just literally in the grocery store down here in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you see those fuckers come out, and I see a guy with a Maze shirt on and like a blue hat, and I was like, yeah, I know what colors those are. And he was wearing Michigan stuff.
And what's worse is they're probably going to go lose in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, I will say, yeah, you're absolutely right. So here's the thing. In reality, for Ohio State, it's better to lose now than losing to another SEC team in a semifinal game.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right, man. I mean, this is the only podcast out there that you're going to see the two hosts are Big Ten fans, second to being Ohio State fans. Because I will, Michael, will you? But I am going to cheer for Michigan. They're the team I want to win the national championship because it only makes Ohio State look better.
I will absolutely cheer for Michigan. And if that makes you mad, I will tell you why. Because Ohio State went to Michigan and played a close football game. They did not prevail. They did not look like the better team, but they were right there. And if that team goes on and wins 2 playoff games and wins the national championship, it makes Ohio State look a heck of a lot better than if that team that Ohio State couldn't get done against goes into the playoffs and gets their butt kicked again for the 3rd year in a row in the first round. That makes Ohio State look even worse. Why would I root for that? I'm rooting for Michigan to win, at least win a playoff game.
It makes Ryan Day look a hell of a lot better, that's for sure. Do I believe Michigan's going to go and win the national championship? No, I don't.
No, I don't. But I would be okay. I would be like in some weird sense.
Yeah, I hope they do. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I've said it a couple weeks ago. I'm like, from everything I've seen of Michigan and Ohio State, I don't see either team that could win a title. I think Ohio State's ceiling was a little bit higher if they played in like an indoor arena and everything, but it's not like we have the high-flying passing offense this year to take advantage of it. But the biggest problem here with Michigan is their passing game isn't very good. I mean, it's okay. It's better than I even thought, but they are going to run into a team that's going to run blitz the hell out of them. And they are going to have a couple drives against a team like Oregon or Georgia or Alabama or maybe even Texas that runs blitz the shit out of them. It gets them behind schedule. But, even if they do it a couple times, it's a couple more times than Ohio State did. And they are going to have to be more balanced. And they are going to be forced to throw on 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9, 2nd and 10.
Yeah.
And that's really going to make it hard for them.
Then it comes down to, can JJ, is he a good enough quarterback to make teams pay for blitzing him?
I think JJ's a solid quarterback. Their receivers just aren't that great still.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going to blitz him, then somebody's going to be open if he's good enough to get it out there to him.
So if their receivers are good enough to get open against that short of time, because remember, if you're blitzing, that means the receivers have less time to get open. And those DBs from the SEC are cut from a different cloth. They're coached differently down there. Unlike
Kyle McCord, he can extend a play, relatively effectively.
Well, I mean, again, I'm going to be cheering for them. I hope they can. Again, Michigan's coaching staff, we've said it all year. They're the best coaching staff in the Big Ten. I continue to stay by that. I didn't give a fuck what anybody said, but it was clear yesterday that it's not just Jim Harbaugh, but their entire staff is that much better than Ohio State's across the board.
Ryan Day was out-coached.
Abso-fucking-lutely, and it's not even close. Again, Jim Harbaugh didn't. We forgot about that. Jim Harbaugh didn't even coach yesterday. No. Ryan Day lost to their backup coach. Their backup fucking coach, Sherrone Moore.
Ryan Day lost to a guy coaching the offensive line, calling the plays, and then doing all of the head coach responsibilities at the same time.
Well, what Michigan's looking at right now, they're looking at probably going to the Rose Bowl and playing Florida State. Now, I think they would have a chance in that one. All the other teams, I would not see them leading Oregon. I would not see them beating Alabama. I would not see them beating Georgia. And if we want to be Big Ten fans and you want Florida State to win, because that means that they're going to the Rose Bowl to play Michigan.
I like a Michigan-Florida State matchup. I think
that would be a 50-50 game because I will say this.
They don't have their quarterback.
Well, Florida State's defense is starting to look nasty. Yeah. And one thing that Florida State has that Ohio State didn't have is they have edge guys that can get immediate pressure and cause explosive havoc in the backfield.
This is the last thing I'm going to say, Jay. Some people might think I'm crazy, but you saying that it just like popped in my head again. Mm-hmm. We don't. I feel like since Ryan Day has taken over, he does not put the emphasis on recruiting fast players, like where speed is an emphasis. I don't feel like that has been the case with him. His teams just don't play that way.
Well, I will say this. They've tried to get them. They have. They have tried to get those guys, but for whatever reason, they don't get them. Like David Wilson. Remember that guy who went to Georgia last year who was getting predicted to Ohio State? He, people were predicting him to Ohio State. He didn't commit to Ohio State, but he decided to go to Georgia. Whether that's NIL or not, we're not sure. But he went to Georgia. The one guy, Marquise Lightfoot from Chicago, we thought we were about to get him in this class. He at the last moment, he goes to Miami. So there's something missing there because it can't be all NIL because we are getting 5 stars in other spots. So what is it about the offensive tackle position and the defensive end position? They are major weaknesses. Linebacker recruiting is starting slowly based on the interest to getting back to where it needs to be with Ohio State caliber linebackers. But so far in this class, in my opinion, we don't really have an Ohio State caliber linebacker committed. We don't. Peyton Pierce, he's a good player in Texas, but he's not a freak athlete. He's probably another Tommy Eichenberg, and we don't need another Tommy Eichenberg.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I mean, we need to get that speed off of the edge. I don't know why.
Yeah, we need those edge rushers who can create explosive havoc in the backfield because, man, his name escapes me. The Florida State edge guy. He was Jared Verse. He transferred from somewhere. He didn't start out at Florida State, but that was a guy that I wanted Ohio State to get.
Well, Penn State has the speed in that department. They've got more speed on the edge than we do.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everybody, I remember after the Penn State game, we're like, oh, yeah, we can get pressure on Michigan because we're going to get pressure on Michigan because Penn State did. And look at all the pressure they got. I'm like, no, Ohio State's not going to need pressure. They don't have those guys that Penn State has.
No, exactly.
Yeah, like we don't have Chop Robinson. Like we don't have a Chop Robinson on our roster, but our defense collectively as a whole is better than Penn State's, but Michigan just pounded them. Like Penn State didn't do enough to stop Michigan's run. They kept letting Michigan basically draw them in and ran draws all day. That's how Michigan got them. But Ohio State, they don't have those explosive edge rushers that can take over a game like a Jared Verse. That's where I really worry about Michigan. If he were to get loose or something, even like a drive or two, if he does something, like that's a drive or two more than what any Ohio State player did. So, anywho, I don't really have much left, Michael. Again, just to recap, until Ohio State gets a coach who is a legit coach with a head coaching experience, and seasons like this will be the norm. Ryan Day is James Franklin, only with more talent. That's the truth.
Yeah, I thought of that exact same thing yesterday. I thought if you wanted to see what James Franklin would look like with more talent, like you've seen it. This is it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, nobody does less with more than Ryan Day. That's the truth. You may disagree. I don't really give a fuck if you disagree. Make a comment in the comment section. That's why they're there. Tell us why we're wrong. But until proven otherwise, he is what he is. He's 1-6, 2-6 in top 5 games. That's where you're judged the most. He's 1-3 against Michigan. 1-3 against the Southeast. That's despicable. Those are the games you're supposed to win as an Ohio State coach, and he loses. And I'm sick and fucking tired of it. I'm sick and fucking tired of losing big games. It's not good for my health. It fucking puts me in a state of depression, and it takes me a while to get out of. I fucking hate it, Michael. It sucks.
Yep. Well, Jay, that's a wrap. Not a good week, but we'll be back. Maybe the bowl. At least I'm going to be able to enjoy the bowl, Jay. I really am. I'm going to enjoy seeing the young guys. I'm going to enjoy seeing what the future looks like. And so it's not what we wanted, but I think there's at least a little bit of the season left to look forward to, which is really just looking forward to the future, because that's kind of where we are at this point.
It's an interesting segue into the next episode. And I know you mentioned young guys. I'm not going to get into this now. This has already been a longer podcast, but I have some things to say about that subject. We'll leave it at that for next week, but we'll talk more about the bowl opponent and all of that. We'll probably talk about recruiting in the next couple episodes more too, because season's about to be over, guys. It went by just like that. Isn't it sad how fast this season went by?
Yep.
Man.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful night, and we will be back next week.